Amazing. Welcome everybody that's already here. This session is being recorded, so please if you know of colleagues that are interested in participating that haven't joined us yet, please let them know that the session has started. If you enjoy the session, and I'm sure you will, please do let other colleagues of yours know that the session has been recorded, and so they're able to watch it on localized after it's happened. Today, it's my pleasure to welcome Mohammed Jade Alem. Mohammed manages operational excellence and project management at King's College London, King's College Hospital, London. However, based in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, he'll get more into the details of what he's doing in Saudi Arabia. Mohammed brings over 16 years of experience in the field of Black Belt and Six Sigma project management. He is a master Black Belt in Six Sigma. He specializes in lean healthcare and has dedicated his career to enhancing the entire patient journey and driving efficiency in healthcare with improvements that have resulted in significant cost savings for the organizations that he's been working with. Mohammed, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you today. I understand you have a presentation for us. Please kick off the session.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for this introduction, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about my passion, I would say. And allow me to share my screen so that I can share my presentation. All right, here you go. Can you see my screen, Ahmad?
Yes, I can see your screen, and before you kick off, I do recommend if the people that are with us, please feel free to use the chat functionality. I'm gonna make sure that it's switched on for everybody now, so everybody can use the chat now. So please let us know where you're dialing in from. If you have any questions for Mohammed, please put it on the chat. After he's gone through his presentation, I'll go through the chat and identify questions to ask from the audience.
All right,
Please
thank
go
you.
ahead.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. I believe the people are joining from different parts of the world with different time zones. And today's workshop, which is on building skills in lean thinking and Six Sigma, and I believe this is something which is very close to my heart. And I put a lot of effort in coaching and mentoring people around it, and why it is important, why everyone, irrespective of the domain and irrespective of the industry, should invest his time or her time in building skills around it. And I'll speak about this today, and I'll keep it very high level since this is not a training around certification. I'm not expecting people to be expert in Lean Six Sigma after attending this session. What I believe is that people should have a clarity around what lean thinking and Six Sigma is, and what's in it for them, for the organization, and whether they should pursue it or not. All right, so this is how this session will go on. I'll speak about how this Lean Six Sigma skills help me in my career. I'll introduce a very high level what lean thinking and Six Sigma is. I'll share one case study around project that we did. And then what roles you can pursue in this domain and how to build skills in Lean Six Sigma. Ahmed has already given the introduction. I'll just quickly wrap this up. Through 16 years, I got the opportunity to work in different industries: manufacturing, oil and gas, engineering, and healthcare. And people usually ask me how, as a mechanical engineer, you have been moved, you say, from manufacturing, oil and gas to healthcare, and in healthcare, that to in a hospital. And this is something which is very interesting, and this is where the skills that I developed in Lean Six Sigma help me transcend this industry's boundaries. I'm MBA in operations management and master black belt in Six Sigma. This is how my career journey looks like. I started in 2008 with a manufacturing company and then moved a couple of organizations in a very short period of time. Because I didn't see my purpose there. And eventually I joined Siemens and then moved to oceaneering and then moved to healthcare. As you can see at the bottom, initial years were like I was in super core technical field on the production floor, on this site, in pipeline, piping. And when I joined Siemens, it was like an early start for me when I transformed into a Lean Six Sigma role, a full-time Lean Six Sigma role. And eventually, I'm taking the lead in implementing Lean Six Sigma, not just in other industry. I did that in oceaneering, but at the same time, now I'm taking this passion to healthcare in a hospital where I'm responsible for implementing a lean transformation program. However, this did not happen on its own. I had to put a lot of effort and passion around learning what this concept is. And throughout this journey, if you can see, I kept on doing many certification. And it started in 2008 when I did just my first certification, a very small one around a diploma in quality control, where I came to know about the concept of improvement and lean and Six Sigma. At the same time, I was fortunate enough to get a coach in my organization who actually introduced me to more concepts around lean thinking. Then I kept on learning what this concept is and how can I pursue career in this, because this excited me a lot. And eventually I did my yellow belt and I joined Siemens, and I got an opportunity in Siemens just because my hiring manager, saw a passion in me that I would love to work in a lean thinking and Six Sigma field. And just based on my passion, despite not having a practical experience prior to that, he enrolled me as a full-time Lean Six Sigma engineer under his umbrella, and where I got a lot of coaching and mentorship under him. And then I kept on pursuing certification. I did my black belt in 15, and I traveled to Florida and attended Change Agent Skills program by Lean Enterprise Institute. And later on, I did certifications in data science and then did Toyota Production System from an institute in Japan. And recently I completed my master black belt in Six Sigma. It's a journey, it's a lengthy journey, but the takeaway I want to give all of you, I can say that you have to invest a lot in learning at every stage of your career. Even though you are in a very reputed company, not a reputed company sponsors your training, does not sponsors your training, it does not matter. 80% of these trainings probably I paid out of my pocket, and 20% of the trainings have been sponsored by the company. So as long as you're learning and you're learning at every stage, that would take you somewhere you never imagined. Probably some of the certifications I did back in 2008, I did not even use any of the knowledge gained out of it until say 2015, when an opportunity came and I realized that, wow, this is something I did say 7 years back and never used it, but that knowledge remained with me, and now I got the opportunity. So you never know as and when the opportunity comes, so keep learning. uh we retain 10% of what we hear, 15% what we see, and 20% of what we see and hear, and what we experience we'll understand 80%, and 90% of what we teach. What is more important is that we should not limit our learning to just reading something, seeing something, listening something. We should put it in our practice and put it in our experience. And at the same time, we try to tra uh, pass on this knowledge to others as well. And this is where the real understanding of whatever you're learning will happen. Why do lean? Usually this question is very common. What's in it for the customer, for the organization, and for you? And this slide, I'll try to answer what's in it for the customer and the organization. See, an organization would like to make work easier for everyone, so that every employee is able to work safely and respectfully. And they're equipped to make the problems visible. That's in the interest of the organization. The more problems are made visible, the more corrective and preventive actions will happen, the improvements will happen, the systems and the processes will become more and more robust. It will lead to a better work culture. And there's always a need for improvement. We have seen many organizations in today's cutthroat competition. You're number one today and you may vanish from the market tomorrow. You never know if you're not improving. So if you're not improving, you're getting worse every day. and improved performance is equivalent to improved profit. So definitely it is in the interest of the organization that they adopt these kind of methodologies. They want to make the customer satisfied. They want to achieve growth, not just for themselves, but for the people as well. They want to remain competitive, and they want to involve employee in whatever they do. So that's what's in it for the organization. Why organization, almost many of the organization, and a top organization, if you say a world class organization, everyone, each one of them has some program which is related to lean and Six Sigma. So what Lean Six Sigma is, and I'll keep it very simple, very high level, and I believe it would give you a very, very good understanding of what these methodologies are. And we often hear Lean Six Sigma. So the Lean is an improvement methodology. At the same time, we have a Six Sigma, which is also a improvement methodology. Lean primarily focus around elimination of waste. We'll get into that in further slides. And at the same time, cycle time reduction. For example, if it takes you, say 30 minutes to do a job, Lean would look into all the steps that goes into this process, right from the start until end, which takes 30 minutes. And Lean would help you identify the non-value added steps, which you can eliminate, minimize, and it will help you reduce the cycle time, so that, let's say, this 30 minutes become 20 minutes. So this is called cycle time reduction, and this is done through elimination of waste. At the same time, Six Sigma more focused around process variation. For example, you're performing some task which is supposed to say take 10 minutes, and sometime you're taking 15 minutes, sometime you're taking 6 minutes, and your time goes like that. So there's a variation in a process. You want to hit 10 minutes, but sometime you're taking less, sometime you're taking more, which both on the both side, which is not good, because you're not predictable. If you have to predict that how long you're going to take, you cannot say, because your range is from 6 to say 15 minutes. So when such kind of problems are there anywhere in the industry, you adopt the philosophy of Six Sigma, which is reducing the process variation and improving the process capability. However, these days we use both the terms together. The reason is that because both the methodologies are to improve quality, cost, delivery, and satisfaction. So whenever the problem demands to use lean tools, you use lean thinking. Whenever the nature of the problem is very complex and it involves a lot of variables, you may use Six Sigma methodology, or you may use a combination of tools coming from both the methodologies, lean and Six Sigma. A quick history of lean. I mean, lean is mostly related to Toyota production system. It's an implementation of the principles that came from Toyota, but the history goes back to Henry Ford, when Henry Ford introduced a mass production practices in industry, so that he can produce thousands of cars, same kind of cars at a low cost. It's mass production, mass manufacturing. The problem with mass production came that you cannot add variability. I mean, at one point, he was only producing just one car, which is black in color. So he used to say that we can deliver any car to you as long as it is black. However, that concept was not suitable in a Japanese market. The Japanese market was very small, and the demand was like varying from customer to customer. Some wanted a small car, big car, and different kind of four-wheelers. So they had to adopt or convert this Henry Ford production system in such a way so that they can accommodate variation in a process, at the same time they can become efficient. So this is how this Toyota production system practice evolved. It did not came in place in just couple of years. It took them decades of continuous improvement, evolving techniques and methodologies. And in 1980s, late 1980s, there was a book which was published, and they coined the term lean thinking. This is how the world came to know about Toyota production system, and eventually it got popularized as lean thinking across the world. And then everyone realized that, wow, this is something amazing. This is why Japanese quality is so great. And the beauty of this methodology was that any industry can adopt this principle. It was not like it is applicable only to a manufacturing industry or a automobile industry. That's the reason today it has been adopted in diverse industries. And it's lean is a way of thinking about creating a needed value with fewer resources and less waste. And it's a practice consisting of continuous experimentation to achieve perfect value with zero waste. This is what lean is. Lean is not about breakthrough improvement. It's not that you're doing something today and you start doing completely opposite tomorrow. Lean involves people, and it involves a concept where they train people, you equip people with the knowledge so that people can come up with improvement ideas. They themselves can improve their processes in bits, in a smaller pieces every day. This is called incremental improvement. So lean is about incremental continuous improvement. And eventually what you see, if you see after, say, if you start your journey today in an organization and after 1 year, you will see a complete transformation. It's not about breakthrough improvement, it's a continuous improvement.
And Mohammed, can I ask you, like, so when you talk about this can be applicable to other than manufacturing, is this can be applied to any process, right? I mean, it can be the process of applying for a job, or is this more like for larger kind of processes, more
It
for like
it
industrial or
it
corporate?
it can be applied to any process. I mean,
Okay.
any process. I mean, for example, I have had a couple of people whom I coached, and they said we are not working in a company and we don't have an opportunity to apply lean thinking, Six Sigma, and we don't have any projects, and which is true. Many people are not working right now. So what can we do? So
Mhm.
for example, you're starting from your home, you're going to a college, and it takes you, say, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you take this as a problem statement that you want to reduce this 20 minutes to 15 minutes, or say sometime it takes you 25 minutes, sometime it takes you 15 minutes. So there's a variation in the time it takes you to reach from school to college, or sorry, home to college, and there's a variation problem.
Yeah.
So if you see anything as a process, you would be able to find opportunity of applying these tools and solving the problem.
Nice. I like that. Cool.
So lean thinking, now this problem is from this definition is from a hospital. And I would say that, lean is so popular in manufacturing, you would get plenty of examples. And I'm specifically talking about healthcare, where lean is still, people think, lean is not applicable here and there. But then this is NHS definition. Lean thinking identify the least wasteful way to provide better, safer healthcare to your patients with no delays. All right. So when you look at it visually, what does lean does? Like patient in to patient out. You have a process. So many things happens in between. You look at this process, you identify the waste, you eliminate the waste, and you make the time shorter. Now, just don't think this is just patient in, patient out. It could be any process. For example, in our industry, we also you apply the same thinking in recruitment process. The moment manager says that I want to hire this position, until the position is on board. Now there's a start where the requisition for the position is made. There's an end where the person is on board, and it takes say 90 days for this process to complete. And now we deep dive into process. We see what happens. We schedule interview, we reschedule interview, we do first round, we do second round, we do third round. Then there's a gap, we reply back and we wait, and this and that. Approval happens, this happened, that happens. We identify everything which is not adding value. So now when you eliminate, for example, you have 3 rounds, why not combine a couple of people sitting in the same round, just have 2 rounds of interview? Why not just have 1 round of interview? Why not you do something else, a test before taking the interview, so that you can shortlist the candidates? So you're trying to optimize this process, trying to eliminate those steps which does not add value. So eventually you will shorten the recruitment lead time. Now, with these examples, you can think about any process. Applying for a job, the moment you apply for a job, the moment you get a reply, you can figure out, you can identify what are the factors which is going on in between, what are the variables, whether this variable adds value, is this does not add value, what can you do about it? It's applicable everywhere. So lean principles, it starts with identify the value from the customer perspective. Then, as I said, you look at the value stream, how this value is getting delivered to the customer, what are the elements of this value stream, and you try to make this flow smoother by eliminating the bottlenecks. For example, you're visiting a hospital and the value for a patient is to see a doctor. But the moment you enter in a hospital, the first bottleneck is you don't know where the clinic is. The moment you enter the clinic, the nurse asks you to sit and wait outside. So these pieces are the bottlenecks. So it's a bottleneck in a flow. You're not able to create a smoother flow for a patient. So when we identify these bottlenecks, then we try to eliminate it, minimize it, and then we so that we can create a flow. And the fourth principle is establish pull, and the fifth is seek perfection. It's a continuous process. You never achieve perfection. You always has an opportunity for improvement. This is lean. Lean focuses on elimination of waste, as I spoke about, reduce cost, improve quality, and increase speed of delivery. Let's talk about elimination of waste. So, as I mentioned earlier, any part of a process that does not add value to the customer is a waste. So, if some activity which you think is not adding value to the customer, it is a waste. So you need to find ways of eliminating it or minimizing it. But how do you equip people to identify waste? So in lean thinking, we call it teamwork, or these are called 7 waste, like transportation waste, inventory waste, motion, waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, and defects. As you can see, this terminology is coming from a manufacturing setup because it started in Toyota. But when you see this kind of waste, you will realize that these wastes are equally applicable in any environment. Let's see some examples. Like if you see motion waste is like when you spend time searching for supplies. It can be in your office. For example, you have a file in your desktop and you spend timing looking for that file because you have lost it. It's a motion waste. You have a waiting waste in a hospital. You have all production waste, which is like at home when the guest comes and you prepare extra food. It's a waste. Sometimes over processing, doing what is not required. I usually give an example. Go under your car and see how the chassis look like. Does it look like the same shiny outside exterior of a car? It is not. Why don't they paint the chassis as well? What is under the car? Because it is not required. If they start doing it, it will be over processing. And same way, any defects in a product is also a waste. So the moment you teach people, equip people with this understanding, they'll start identifying waste in a process. Another example is in an office, in anywhere, where do you find the printer is? The printer you use for printing paper. The printer is not where it is required. Printer is where the socket is, because nobody has thought that in a different way. They always thought that, and they will end up making 10 trips in a day, just, walking from their desk to the printer and taking printer and going back and wasting time. And they will never think about that it's a waste. So the moment you teach them that there's 7 waste, and they will say that what they're doing is actually a transportation waste, which is unnecessary movement of a material or a person. Every time they walk from their desk to the printer, which is say 20-25 feet away, it's a waste of time. And then they start thinking. So we need to equip people in lean so that they can understand what waste is. So in lean, we have 3 types of activities. The value add activities, we need to optimize, increase it. Some activities, we know it doesn't add value, but still we need to do it. So we need to find way how can we minimize it. And there's certain activities which are purely non-value add and we need to eliminate it. But how does it translate to cost? A business is always about cost. If you can see on the left side, it's a traditional thinking. You have a product and and you add your profit to it, and then it becomes a selling price. This is what the traditional thinking is. So it takes you say $10 to make something, and you want to earn $2 profit, so you will sell it in $12. And this is how you earn $2 profit on it. Now, tomorrow, let's say there's a pressure from the top management that we want to increase revenue. A traditional organization will end up increasing the price. So now this $12 product you will start selling and say $15. So that now you're earning $5 profit on it. But a lean organization where actually lean thinking is, they don't think this in a way, because by adding a cost and passing on to the customer, you're not adding value to the customer. So they will look at in the operations cost, what it takes. Say it takes $10 to make a product. They will see what are the activities which are actually adding value, and they will identify activities which are not adding value. So from $10 cost, let's say they identified that there's $2 which is going in wasteful activities. Instead of increasing the price, they will rather eliminate this $2 as a waste, and they will increase their profit margin without passing on this cost to the customer. This is what lean thinking is. As you eliminate waste, you get some byproduct of it. You improve the quality, you reduce the cost, you increase the speed. And it's lean thinking is about continuous improvement. As I said, you would hear this word Kaizen in many organizations which adopts lean practices. It's a Japanese philosophy of continuous improvement, and it's said, you have to bring continuous improvement every day, every hour of your work, in bits, smaller pieces. We are not expecting employees to come up with breakthrough ideas in one day. It is what incremental improvement. This is what matters. So that was a quick introduction to lean, and now I'll just move to Six Sigma.
Can I ask you, Muhammad? So,
Yes.
in Lean and Six Sigma,
Yes.
they're now kind of interconnected. Is that correct, or are they still
Yes.
separate theories? Right now, they're very much one of, like, not the same, but they're quite heavily integrated. Is that correct?
They are still not the same, but they're integrated because they both focus on process improvement.
Mhm.
So the methodologies, philosophy is completely different, but now they both complement each other.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So history of Six Sigma, it's very interesting. In 1970 something, Motorola president CEO Bob Galvin asked the question in a meeting, because they were losing revenue, there were complaints coming from the market, and he asked, in a meeting, what's wrong with the company? And the executives, everyone started explaining, Japanese are eating away our share, and there's this politics going on, the laws and regulations which is not favoring us and all that. And there's one engineer who's, silently, and he stood up and said, he was art century, and he says, the problem is our quality stinks. This is what the problem is. And everyone was shocked. And then Bob Kelvin, listened to him, and then he himself invested in visiting the factories, listening to the customers and the clients and everyone said, your quality is not good, your quality stinks. He's right. And then he invested in what can we do. And he set up a target that we need to improve quality of every Motorola product by 10 times. We have to make it 10 times better. And this is something which is breakthrough, right? You cannot do it like an incremental way. And then there was other engineer who joined Motorola, who was doing some research on relationship between defects and reliability, Bill Smith. And he came up with some ideas around, statistical standard deviation, variation. And then along with Michael Harry, they came up with a program, with a methodology, which eventually became Six Sigma. So this is how Six Sigma started. And the start was total, statistical in nature, understanding the variation, what is happening through data, and later on adopted by so many industries. So today, what we know, when we ask people, and many of us, we don't understand Six Sigma in totality. We understand a part of it. So Six Sigma is a philosophy, is also a performance metric, because six means something, sigma also means something. It is not just a word from a dictionary. uh, and at the same time, it's a methodology. So let's understand what philosophy is. The philosophy is to strive for perfection. It is a proactive based philosophy, prevention based, which is where you try to prevent the defects from occurring. And as a performance metrics, it translates to, if you're making a 1 million product, if you're operating at a 6 sigma performance level, that means you're only making 3.4 defects per million opportunities. This is what does it mean. 6 sigma is a performance metric. The sigma then is called standard deviation, which is a measure of variation in statistics, and relies heavily on this curve. Whenever you will implement Six Sigma, you would do a lot of statistics, process capabilities, understanding this chart, this normal distribution chart, and try to see how does your process capability is vis-a-vis the customer specification limits. This image is more explanatory. For example, if you see on the left hand side, you have a process with a lot of variability, and it may be beyond the customer specification limits. Now this is a variation problem. So what you try to understand is what is contributing to this variation, why this, whatever this dimension is increasing and decreasing. You try to understand what are the steps of this process. You identify the variables that you can control. Then you identify some of the variables you cannot be controlled, which is something environmental in nature. Once you identify the controlled variables and you take some actions around it, and you minimize the variation. So Six Sigma is around reducing the variation, as I said at the beginning as well.
And is this where a lot of companies, I mean, as somebody that's done a lot of work with large companies, a lot of the larger companies now get involved with their suppliers and put a lot of regulations and rules for how their suppliers operate, right? The main purpose behind this then is to control this variability. Is that correct?
You are right, absolutely right. So as a client, for example, if I have a supplier who's supplying me a product, I will set the specification limit for the supplier, and I'll keep on measuring the outcome of the supplier compared to the specification limit. And if I say that, it's going beyond the limit, then I alert the supplier that, there's a too much of variation and we need to reduce the variation. And this is where supplier invest themselves in understanding the variation itself. And there's one field of this Six Sigma or a quality, which is statistical process control, where actually you chart the control charts, you monitor your process, you monitor your trend, and this statistical process control charts has certain rules, and it will tell you that even before the process goes out of control, it will see a trend, and it will alert you that, we have observed some data points and it looks like some trend is coming, and very soon if you don't take any action, the process may go out of control.
Yeah.
So yes, so these techniques are implemented in companies, supplier and manufacturing, even in non-manufacturing industries. For example, in hospitals also, we measure the waiting time in emergency department, and we continuously monitor it. The moment we say that, there's a trend, the waiting time is gradually increasing, we realize that something is wrong. Maybe we don't have sufficient capacity to take care of patients. Maybe the beds are occupied. Maybe the discharge is not happening smoothly. So we come into action. So there's a lot of things, lot of insights you get out of it. And then as a methodology, Six Sigma follow a 5-step process, define, measure, analyze, improve, control. It's very common. Whenever in a company a project is done, first you define the problem. What is the problem? The problem well defined is half solved. Then you quantify the problem. If you cannot say that, it takes more time, it takes less time, the defect is very high, defect is very low, high, low, more, less, it doesn't mean anything. So when you say there's a problem, you need to quantify the problem, which is a measure phase. And then you use many tools to investigate the problem. You analyze the problem so that you can identify the root cause of the problem. This is analysis phase. Analysis phase takes most of the time. because you need to go to the root cause of the problem by collecting data and so on and so forth. Once you identify the root cause of the problem, you come up with an action item, you implement, which is the improve phase, and then you validate whether after taking the actions, the process is improved or not. And once it is improved, you say the needle has moved, you put some controls in place so that the gains are sustained. Now I'll just quickly give an example how this methodology. For example, we did this project in OR where the room turnover. Room turnover is when the last patient leaves the operating theater and the next patient goes in the operating theater. Now in a hospital, you do not want to run your OR empty because OR is one of the revenue generating unit. So you want this time to be as less as possible. And this is what we wanted to improve as well. Our room turnover was, say, 30 minutes, the last patient out and next patient in. And we made a team, we measured the current condition, where do we stand right now? And then we set the target that we are taking 30 minutes today. We want to reduce this to 15 minutes. We want to cut half this room turnover time. And we did analysis, and I just want to give one of the action item. We implemented a concept. You might have seen a Formula One car where the pit stop happens. You say so many people come together and everybody knows what to do, when to do, how to do, and works together in a sequence, which is a concept of coming from manufacturing single minute exchange of dies introduced in Toyota, where actually they wanted to minimize the time of changeover. So we also applied the same concept in operating room, where we taught every nurse, every surgeon, every anesthetic, every OR technician what task you will do, when you will do, how the task that you can do even when the patient is inside, the tasks you can do when the patient leave the room, so that we can optimize this flow. And result of this, we were able to reduce the room turnover by 26%, 8 minutes saved between each case. It looks very less, but when you translate into number of cases which happens in a month, in a year, the potential additional capacity is equivalent to 20 million Saudi riyal.
Oh, wow.
This is how, this small improvements, when you look at it in a very structured way, helps you achieve big benefits.
Mohammed, so I think
Yes.
we had a question that I think is just related to this, though. So I want to just on
Okay.
this process in particular, which is how to quantify a problem, right? So you've identified the problem, you try to quantify that problem, and I'm sure there isn't one method of quantifying a problem, right? So if you wanted to, how would you go about doing that?
So I'll give an example. For example, usually when people, somebody will come say that, there's a lot of complaint coming from the market, a lot of customers are complaining. Now, this is something which is a problem. Now
Yes.
you cannot improve this problem. So you need to quantify it. So what does quantify means? Now, let me give a quick example around this. You say a lot of problem is coming from the market. So you need to ask question, what problem is coming from the market?
Hmm.
Let's say the problem coming is that, we are making some candies, and the candies, the candy packet is empty from inside some of the packets, so
Yeah.
this is one problem. So now you identify the attribute which defines the problem,
Mhm.
but still the problem is not solved. You say, how much is the problem? You say, out of 1,000 packets we have, supplied, uh, 5 packets has a problem. So now you know the rate. 5 out of 1,000 packets has some defects. So
Mhm.
you translate a problem which is very subjective in nature to something which is very objective.
Yes.
Sometimes we say it takes very long, very long. So you try to understand, what does long mean? Long means maybe it takes 30 minutes to do something. Now this 30 minutes is basically you're quantifying the problem.
Mhm. Mhm. And this is where you mentioned the analysis phase takes the longest time in this process, and I'm sure this is part of so analyzing what the problem is, what the attributes of the problems are.
Analyze phase is around identifying the root cause of the problem.
Hmm.
I'll give you one more example. For example, let's say you go to a hospital in an emergency department and you wait. So now waiting is a problem. And you
Yes.
say on an average patient is waiting for 2 hours,
Mm.
and emergency department, you need to do something because there's a problem. Now we have quantified the problem, and now when we do analysis, we will say why patient is waiting in ER. The answer is because the beds are occupied. Why
Okay.
beds are occupied? Because we are not able to move the patient to inpatient ward. Why are we not able to move the patient to inpatient ward? Because the inpatient beds are not available. Next question. Why inpatient beds are not available? The answer is because the discharge process is very lengthy.
Mm.
So you see the problem started somewhere
Yeah.
and the root cause is somewhere else.
Completely.
So
Yeah.
no matter what you do, you cannot improve ER waiting time until you improve your discharge process.
Yes. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
So building a career around it. So in Lean Six Sigma, the different levels. The basic level is white belt, where a candidate has a very introductory level of knowledge around problem solving tools, and they're usually part of problem solving teams. And there's a yellow belt, they get additional knowledge, and then green belt, where actually now they are independently able to lead some projects, and then become black belt, where actually they can lead the Lean Six Sigma programs, they can train and coach green belts, and ultimately master black belt, where they can lead enterprise level lean transformation or Lean Six Sigma transformation program. Additionally, master black belts are proficient in statistical techniques, which usually starts from black belt, but master black belts are like level above black belts, and they know more around statistical techniques as well. So whenever any one of you would like to pursue certification, don't directly go into green belt and black belt. It is not going to help. Certification has become a commodity in the market. There will be many people selling you certificates, green belt plus black belt, 50% off this and that. It is not going to help. It's a step-by-step process. You need to build your foundation, then you go to another level, apply the knowledge, thinking, earn experience, then you move to another level. It takes so many years. For me, it took more than 10 years to achieve to a master black belt level myself. And in some time in between two belts, it took me more than 2 years because I was not ready at all.
Can I ask you something, Muhammad, about that
Yes.
process?
Yes.
I'm sure other people will have, because I think this is actually a very nice slide, and I agree with you. Generally, if it's a pyramid shape, like you need to build the foundation and you start getting more focused. Do you need to have the black belt or the master? Like, is that like how? Like, if I go ahead and do the white belt, is
So
that in itself, will that be beneficial for me? Or do I need to be thinking more, okay, I need to start the white belt, but that's not where I get the value added. I'm gonna start seeing value added at the yellow belt and at the green belt, for example.
the moment you start with white belt, you would start getting the benefit out of it. The reason is not that you would get white belt as a certificate. White belt as certificate may not matter at all,
Hmm.
but you will start learning some structured problem solving techniques. So you would get better and efficient in solving your day-to-day problems at work, at home, at whatever place you are. You would learn those basic foundation. For example, this 5 analysis, which I did just now for a problem in ER,
Yeah.
you would just learn at a white belt level, and every time there's a problem come, you would not jump onto a solution. Rather, you will think in a structured way, this is a problem, let me do a 5 analysis so that I can identify a root cause of the problem. So it would start benefiting you right from white belt level.
Amazing.
And and when you achieve green belt and black belt, it involves a lot of soft aspect of you being as a leader. You also learn not just applying these tools and techniques, you also start learning coaching other people,
Hmm.
because this Lean Six Sigma is all about change. There's a change management, there's a status quo, there's a resistance coming from people do not want to change, and you want to convince them, you need to make them believe that why change is important. You may not be able to do that at a yellow belt level, because white belt, yellow belt will focus on tools part of it, but which is very important.
Mhm.
But when you start moving to green belt, black belt, you would start learning that soft aspect of this whole belt thing, Lean Six Sigma thing. You would learn how to speak with a C-suite leader, how to speak with a director level lead person with the help of data in a very structured way. This is how it will start helping you. Not everyone needs to do black belt and master black belt, especially master black belt. If you're not planning to do a full-time work in a full-time role like me, if you're doing something else, you may stop at a green belt level, black belt level. But yes, if you want to go to the top until master black belt, most useful for you.
Thank you for that.
Remember, it's not just obtaining certification, focus on the journey of learning and acquiring valuable skills. So how it will it help you if you don't want to be in a full-time role? People sometimes say, I don't want to be a Lean Six Sigma. Why should I do this? So see if the picture in an organization, there are people who doesn't want to change and there are people who wants to change. Every organization would like to have people who wants to change, who wants to improve. You see that person who's holding that wheels and offering it to them, and they're saying no thanks, we're too busy. So if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Organization love people who are problem solvers. That is the reason, even if you don't intend to have a full-time role in it, you should still have the knowledge, around Lean Six Sigma. It helps you, build problem solving skills. You become part of process improvement, and most importantly, cross-functional collaboration. Many projects I don't do in isolation with one person. Most of the projects are like at a system level, systemic problems. So when we do a project in a hospital, we get to interact with doctors, with nurses, with IT, with marketing, so on and so forth. In your organization as well, when you do projects, you will interact with so many people. It's like cross-functional collaboration. And then when you have those skills handy with you, you are a structured problem solver, very structured problems in thinking. It is going to help you, and in your career advancement, job marketability, and it will also increase your leadership potential. Because what kind of leaders we like? We like leaders who are a good problem solvers. You go to them and they're able to articulate you in a very structured way that, all right, this is your problem, this is what you do. So this is your problem and this is what you do. In between these two statements, there's a lot which goes in their mind. And that what goes in their mind is an approach to a problem, a structured way of thinking. And this is what this Lean and Six Sigma teaches you, irrespective of your organization commitment, official commitments, or at home. When you have this structured way of thinking, it increases your leadership potential. All right, so that's a wrap from my side. And you can take a screenshot of these emails and you can connect me on LinkedIn. I would be more than happy to support anyone if anyone has any query, and would love to mentor and coach people. Ahmad, over to you.
Thank you very much, Muhammad. Thank you for sharing this information. This has been very helpful. I think I might be reaching out to you personally to ask you some additional questions. There's a question that just popped up on chat, and it's something that I've been thinking about actually, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. The question is, while we have AI and machine learning, it's a hot topic these days, everyone has a vision that how it's gonna work. How can you make like how can you, or how has the introduction of artificial intelligence, machine learning, even industry 4.0, 5.0, we're hearing a lot of these terminologies. How is all of this impacting Lean Six Sigma methodology? And because how is this impacting that? And also the other way around, right? How can the knowledge of Lean and Six Sigma methodology, how can that be beneficial in this age that we're seeing of AI and machine learning and Industry 4.0?
So Lean Six Sigma, if you talk about, both of this methodology, I'll talk, in a common language now. This both methodology focuses a lot on data.
Hmm.
It's these methodologies is not about hunch feeling, what you think, what I think. It's all about data, right? So now when this introduction of AI and machine learning, it actually made our life very easy in a way that now we are able to analyze a lot of data, volume of data, in a very, very fast way, which, we would have taken a very long time to analyze data and identify some trends and patterns. Now, with the introduction of AI and machine learning, with so many tools available, we are able to do it in much efficient way. For example, I use a lot of Python language, Python programming for doing data analysis. I use, so many algorithms, which is already available, and I just put my data there, and it gives me all the trends and everything. So analysis phase has become more interesting. There are certain insights which you are not able to do and find yourself while dealing with data manually in an Excel or in other way. Actually, now you're able to get more information out of it, and it helps you in a better decision making. So
Yeah,
you are able to target, those variables which were before were not visible to you.
that's
You would not think that, oh, this also can impact the outcome. Now when this AI and machine learning has come into picture, you see that, wow, this is also a factor which is impacting the output. So this is a controllable variable. Let's try to fix this. Yeah, so it has definitely made this process efficient.
amazing. Do you think there's any scenario whereby AI can take over the Lean Six Sigma process? And I know it's a hard question, and I'm
Actually, it's a very easy question.
okay.
See, it's it's a mindset. Lean thinking is a mindset, right? When you look at a problem, you sit on a problem and you try to identify a problem, and then you quantify a problem, and then you try to find the right tool which will solve this problem. So there's
Yes,
a lot of thinking involved.
yes,
Right? So no matter what you do, AI will always enable you, will complement what you're doing, but it cannot altogether replace uh, what it is. For example, I'll go back to the same example. If you put this same problem, and I can ask everyone to try this, how to solve the ER waiting time problem. You would get answers: increase the bed capacity, increase the number of doctors, and you will get this kind of responses, which is like very straightforward. But the root cause, as I said, it's not in the ER. Root cause is somewhere in the inpatient. AI will never give you an answer that improve your discharge process time.
yes.
So
I agree with that.
there's a thinking involved. So AI will make your life easy, but not replace.
Well, that's good to know because the next questions I'm getting, which is actually very interesting, a lot of people are asking about where they would go get certifications for, like, what is a trusted source of certification for Six Sigma, and where can they get trusted resources about the process and about Lean Six Sigma process.
I'll give some example right now, just few example, but you can always reach out to me through my email. So okay, so for white belt and yellow belt, you don't need to go to any certification bodies. I mean, just search online, go attend some videos online or LinkedIn Learning. Go for introductory videos around Lean Six Sigma, around white belt, yellow belt, udemy.org. These are sufficient enough at least to take you to a yellow belt level.
Oh,
And
interesting.
as I said, if you have a yellow belt as a certificate, it may not help you. Until yellow belt, it is more about building the foundation. And you can use any resource which is available to you, YouTube and so forth. Reach out to me. I will also share, many resources available with me. When it comes to green belt, and which is show that you're now more serious to have this in your career, and black belt and master black belt, I'm not endorsing any certification body, but myself, I trust ASQ a lot, American Society of Quality. The reason is that you don't pay them for training, and then they give you a certification. It's an exam. You need to sit for an exam, prepare yourself, or get prepared. And if you don't prepare, you fail. If you prepare, you pass. I have seen so many training organizations, they will train you for 5 days. And at the end of the 5 day, they will take, 2 hour exam with tea and coffee. And 7 day, they will give you certificate because they're supposed to give you certificate because they have taken, the
Money.
money from your pocket.
Yeah.
It has become a commodity. Even so, don't go for that. Don't get in that trap. It is not going to help you because when we as a lean practitioner, when we hire people, we don't see certificates. We ask questions, we ask examples, we ask, how did you solve that problem? So if you don't have experience and you just have certificate, it is not going to help.
That's great advice, actually.
Yeah.
So, and I love how you say, because we hear this a lot now. I love how you say up to white, yellow belt. These are resources that you can go ahead and find online when you start becoming more serious. This is when at the green belt level, this is when you should be seeking out certification. So it's great to know that you don't need to pay money necessarily upfront in order to get it. We're very close to time, Mohammed. I wanted to just ask you if you give one last parting advice to our students and recent graduates about the process, about Lean and Six Sigma process. Any recommendation, any advice you'd like to leave us with today?
My advice is that to the young aspirant students, invest in learning these skills. As I said, organization needs problem solvers. There is a shortage of real problem solvers in any industries. And if you're of that kind, you know how to solve a problem and you have very structured approach, it is going to help you a lot throughout your career. It will give you a lot of opportunities and a lot of leadership potential because learning Lean Six Sigma is also introduce a quality of coaching into you. You learn how to speak with any person, be it a CEO, COO, director, and you speak in a language that they understand, that
Yeah,
they think, and you are able to communicate in a very convincing way. So
amazing.
invest in it. It's a very good skills to be incorporated in your portfolio.
Thank you so much for that advice, Muhammad. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting you on Localized today. I'm seeing a lot of thank yous on the chat. This has been inspiring, educational, and I think you've gotten a lot of people interested to learn more about Lean Six Sigma process.
Ahmed, I'm always available for anyone. I'm very much passionate about it. Anyone wants to reach out to me through my email, through LinkedIn, feel free, and I will guide them throughout their journey as until whatever level they want to be, until black belt, I will guide them.
Thank you so much for your time and for your passion, Muhammad. It's been an
Yeah.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Have a
man.
good day.
Thank you, everyone.